When I was pregnant with my twins, I knew there was a possibility that I might end up having a C-section. That's something twin moms are told right from the very first beginning. Of course, I did my research, and mind you, I already had two kids that I had given birth to naturally. So the thought of a C-section kind of scared me. But yeah, I had prepared myself mentally that, all right, we might have a C-section on that day, and that was fine. I was not going to fight that. But nobody could have predicted what actually happened on that day. So that's what I want to share with you guys today. My birth story, my pregnancy journey right from my first child right up until the day I became a mother of four. So stick around and let's gist together. Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Elvin, and if you're seeing my face for the first time, the people here call me Skilled Elvin. I am your go-to girl for everything crafts, and now I'll be talking lifestyle and every other thing. So yeah, stick around. There's just a lot that you're probably going to learn from here, enjoy, and just stay with us. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, like our video, and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out whenever I post a new video. So yeah, let's get down to the gist. I had my first child when I was 22. No, I was 21 going on 22. Yeah. And it was quite a smooth pregnancy. I gave birth to her naturally, no trouble. There's really nothing nothing much to say about the pregnancy. My second pregnancy, yeah, I had him when I was 25. Yeah, 25. And there was also nothing much. It was an easy pregnancy. And the delivery, I struggled a bit after the delivery. I was not diagnosed, but if you'd ask me, I'll say I actually had postpartum depression. Story for another day. I don't want to go into it so much of it. But yeah, I had him when I was 25. And then a few months later, this is where the story gets. So after I had my son in September 2021. Yeah. Like I said, it was a bit of a struggle after I had my son. I went through a lot, and when it was finally time for the summer holidays, I think that was sometime in May, June-ish. He was about 10 months old. Something so 9, 10 months old. I had weaned him, so I sent him off to my mom. Like I traveled I went to Bamenda where my mom is based. I left the kids, all my both him and his sister. I left them all with my mom, and I just wanted to come home and have some alone time, just enjoy and just soak everything in. And that was it. So I came home and I was having a lot of constipation. Mind you, my period had not returned because my son was just, like I said, he was about 10 months old. So, and after I had my daughter, my first child, my period stayed for, I think, about 10 months or so before coming. So I wasn't really bothered. So for my son, he was already about 9 months. It was about 9 months old, and my period had not returned. So I wasn't really bothered. I was like, for some people it comes back early, for some people it takes time. So since my first experience, it was it was up to 9 months, I think. So I wasn't really bothered. But when I came back from Bamenda, where I left my kids, I noticed that I was constipating a lot. I just every time I eat, no matter how small, my stomach would just be bloated. I'll be uncomfortable. It was just a lot of things happening, and after trying a few things, drinking warm water, eating bitter cola, nothing was yielding. My husband just said, you know what, go to the hospital and consult. Mind you, this was supposed to be like some kind of vacation for me. I just wanted to enjoy, just sleep in bed and just lay in bed all day, just have a good time. Little did I know. Yeah, so I went to the hospital to consult the constipation. And when I went, of course, the first thing the doctor asked was, when last did you see your period? And I said, oh, it's been about 9 months since I had my son, and my period is not yet back. So he said, okay, let's just do a pregnancy test and, be sure that it has nothing to do with pregnancy. So, of course, I went ahead and I did a pregnancy test, and it was positive. And I just said at the time I didn't mind having a third child because my husband and I were okay with having it. We were not actively trying to conceive a third child, but we were open to having a third child, so it wasn't really much of it. I just said, oh, it's okay, it's fine, no problem. So when I came back to the doctor, he said, oh, congratulations, but I think you should do an ecography. I didn't know how long the pregnancy was, so we had to do an ecography in order to be sure to know how far gone I was. So we went ahead and I went to the ecography. I don't know how they call those people. Yeah, but the doctor who was in charge of the ecography, I've forgotten how they called him. So I went to the room. It was a male and a female doctor. They were both there. I think I want to research what they are called. Yeah, I just checked and they're called sonographers. Yeah, so when I walked into the room where the sonographers were, there was a male sonographer and a female sonographer. So I laid on the bed. He did what they usually do, rub Vaseline, not Vaseline, the liquid, the liquid they use, and then it was the male sonographer who was working on me while the lady sonographer was sitting the other way. So he was doing whatever he was doing, and then he called, and then he turned and looked at me and he said Manye. Manye is a term that is used for, okay, if you have twins here, they call you Manye. So Manye simply means mother of twins, and then Tanye is father of twins. You get, so yeah. So he said Manye, and when he said it, I heard it, but I thought maybe the other lady sonographer was also, it was a twin mom, so I just assumed that he was talking to the lady sonographer, and then I was just minding my business. And then he said again, I'm calling you Manye and you're not responding. He said in Pidgin, I call you Manye, you know the answer. Then I noticed he was talking to me, so I was like, oh, sorry, I thought you were referring. I just said something like I thought you were referring to another lady. Then he said, yeah, he's calling me Manye because he can hear. I think he said hear or this see two heartbeats. And I was like, two heartbeats where? And then he goes on to say, oh, this is the first heartbeat. This is the second heartbeat. Of course, to me, they are sounding like the same thing. So I was like, no, check again. It's not. Nah, I can't be having twins. And then he says, are there no twins in your family? Mind you, my husband's sister has twins. Like his direct junior sister has twins. So I was like, there are, it was just an out of place question. I was like, there are twins. I was like, check again well to be sure that. I was like, no, this is it. There are two heartbeats. I mean, it was certain that I was having twins. And in that very moment, I burst into tears. Like I started crying. I cried so hard. Sometimes when I think about it, I'm really ashamed, but I mean, it was my reality. And then he was like, what's going on? Why am I crying? When people come here and find out they're having twins, they're excited. How come that in my case, I'm inside crying? And I told him, I had two kids already. And I mean, raising those kids, like I said, I had just left them up with my mom so I could rest. So they thought of just, I was about to start raising twins. Nah, I was not ready. If you ask most people who have raised, I said most because some people don't really, people who have raised one or two kids, if they want to have twins, most of them would say no. Because trust me, raising one child is not juice. And then raising twins at once, I think it's best when you have twins as your first, your first, because you, I don't know, you just raise them together and it's not as, your mind just, anyways, mentally, it was a lot to take in. And yeah, I cried my eyes out. I cried so hard, and I called my mom. The first one I called was my mom, actually. I called my mom and I was just crying. I was just crying. When I told her, she was dancing on the phone. She was so excited. She was just happy. Meanwhile, I was crying, guys. Like, I cried. So after my mom succeeded, she tried to calm me down. She said I should calm down, blah blah blah. If God, you know how mothers are. If God thinks that I can do it, it means I can do it. That blah blah. So after I spoke to my mom, I called my husband, and I was so weak. I didn't even go back to the doctor who sent me to the ultrasound. And I was so weak. And so I called my husband and said he should come and pick me up. Of course, I told him the news. He was so happy as well. He was so excited. He started calling himself Tani from that day. So he came to the hospital. He found me. He picked me up, brought me back at home. He had to go back to work, so he left me at home. When he dropped me at home, and I sat at the side of my bed, I was on that side of my bed till my husband came back. Like he came back in the evening, I was still sitting where he left me in the morning. I was just thinking all day. I was just thinking. I was like, how did God even think that I would be able to do this? I just could not fathom the thought of it. It was a difficult day for me, guys. Like I said, I was just coming back from Bamenda and I was hoping to just have the time of my life to just enjoy it. There I was with this constipation, and now it was not just constipation anymore. I was carrying two babies inside of me. It was a lot, but yeah, eventually I accepted it. The days went by and I accepted it. I started, my father also, my stepdad, he also spoke to me a lot. I couldn't tell, of course, traditionally you can't tell many people. You know how it is with Africans, you just can't go about telling people you're having twins. So I think I told just my mom, I told my husband, my mom of course told my stepdad, and then I told my best friend of course too, and we talked about it. And yeah, eventually The days turned to weeks, the weeks turned to months. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys that after the ecography, I was 8 weeks gone already. Yeah, so after the ecography, discovered I was 8 weeks gone. And yeah, if you have watched to this very moment and you have not subscribed, it would really mean the world to me that you hit the subscribe button. That simple act alone goes a long way in keeping me motivated to show up here every day. So, have you subscribed? Have you subscribed? I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. Thank you. You can go a step further by hitting the notifications bell so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. I would say that for most of the pregnancy, apart from the constipation that I had at the beginning, it was quite a smooth pregnancy till the end, of course, because I had them at 40 weeks, so I carried full term. I carried the twins till full term. But I think that from 36 weeks, my legs were getting really tired because, of course, two babies inside. My legs were getting really tired. I would have a lot of leg pain. My legs, I couldn't move for long. And instead, they were advising the hospital that I should try walking, exercising, like I should try walking longer. I remember at the time I was doing internship at the council, so I used to walk a certain distance almost every day just to cover that, but it wasn't easy. And then I had a funny thing when I sat on a hard surface, like on a bench that is like wood that is hard. By the time I'm getting up, I had this pain. It was almost like, I don't know how to call it, but there was a lot of pressure on my anus, kind of. So it was that was like the most difficult thing about that pregnancy. Each time I sat, or if I sat on a hard place or I sat down too long, it would, I'll feel that pressure, and that was mainly it. I think generally I've not had really difficult pregnancies. From my first down to the twins, it wasn't really. Of course, I wasn't vomiting. I never vomited in any of my pregnancies. For my second child, I vomited just once, and it was because I ate something that my stomach didn't like, and it wasn't really. I was already about 8 months or so, so I didn't really struggle much. But I did mention that I carried them up to 40 weeks, right? So at 38 weeks, when I went for my antenatals, the doctor looked at me and said, "Oh, the babies are doing well. I'm doing okay, and that they're ready to come out. That if I was ready, I wasn't feeling any labor pain. So he was like, if I wanted, we could just have a C-section and the babies would come out very fine, no problem, that they were very much ready to come out." But of course, I refused and I told him that if the babies are not ready to come out, then I'm not ready to meet them either. So and to be very honest, when I said that, it was mainly because another part of me was still hoping that it would not be a C-section. I didn't have, I was, if the worst came to the worst and I had to do a C-section, I would not refuse, of course, but I had never had a C-section before, but I just really hate surgery. I'm not a fan of surgery, so I had been through labor before, and yes, it was painful, of course, like every other labor. But I just knew that I preferred labor pain to C-section. Anyways, now we're at 40 weeks. I go for my antenatal, and then the midwife, she looks at me and she says, how can I be carrying twins and then it's been 40 weeks and I'm not feeling any labor? I said, yeah, I went for antenatal by myself and I wasn't feeling anything. So she said, I should go again and see the doctor, let the doctor examine me, let them just, you know, do the usual thing. Yeah. So I go to see the doctor. I didn't see the doctor, I saw the midwife. So she examined me. You know what the mothers here, you guys know. So she sent her fingers to my vagina, of course. And then she said I was already, I think, 2 or 3 centimeters dilated, something like that. So when she said that, I said I wasn't feeling any labor pain. It was still morning. She said, let me just spend the day and let's see, or let me just be there for a few hours to see if I'm going to dilate more before we know what to do. So, and if you have ever been in labor, you know that whenever those women send their fingers, whenever those women send their fingers down there, yeah. So whatever she did, it triggered the labor, and in about in less than 2 hours, I went down into active labor. So I called my mom and I told her, "Oh, I'm not coming back home." Luckily, my mom was already she had already come for Umogo. So I called her and just told her to bring my things down to the hospital. So yeah, that was about, I would say my labor started about 10 a.m., 10, 11 a.m. ish. And then it wasn't really, it was still maybe after, maybe I'll get the pain will come after maybe 30 minutes. And then with time it was reducing, You know how the thing goes. Most women who have given birth, you know how labor is back and forth. No, intense labor started around 10 p.m. During the day it was quite slow. And even my mom, when she came and saw me, she was like, "Am I sure I'm in labor?" I was still very strong, but it wasn't very intense. So I think intense labor started around 10 p.m. ish. then at 2:30 a.m. I had my first. Uh, of course, I pushed out my first twin. And mind you, when I came in that morning and they did the ecography again, they discovered that the second twin was, of course, the first twin was head down. She was head down, but the second twin was transverse. He had not, he had not turned head down. Head down. Most women would understand this. But they said, oh, since it was twin pregnancy, when the first twin comes out, the second twin will turn, and oh, there'll be enough space for the second twin to turn, and then he would come out easily. So it wasn't much of a bother. So now the first twin is out, 2:30 a.m. The second twin turned now. He wasn't turning. The midwives, they try to, you know what midwives will do. They'll try to maybe rotate from outside. They did this. I think at some point the doctor even sent his hand inside my womb, something to, I don't know what they were doing, but whatever they did, all efforts in vain. And then luckily the doctor was there. All of this, they take the baby's heartbeat, just to know the baby's okay. And then in all of this, they now try to get the baby's heartbeat, and they discovered that the heartbeat was becoming very faint. So that was, I didn't even hear when they said C-section. Like in less than 5 minutes, they were already rolling. 5 minutes is so long. In fact, in less than 2 minutes, I think they were already rolling me into the theater. And you know what? They would always maybe wait for the people to sign documents. Blah. Nah. What happened? Mine was indeed a miracle because everything was done fast, 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 fast. They just rolled me into the theater, had the C-section, and then immediately he was taken out. He was rushed straight to oxygen. The doctors, everyone there, was such a miracle because if we had delayed maybe another 10 minutes or 30 minutes, we would have probably lost him. So immediately it happened. I was unconscious. They gave me the anesthesia that knocks you off completely. But my mom said it was a lot of, everybody was running up and down. It was a lot of emergency just to make sure that we didn't lose him. And yeah, to the glory of God, I had my son. Yeah, so that was how I had my twins. It was not planned. Nobody. We all thought that the second twin would turn after the first twin, blah blah blah, and that was it. That was how I had him. And I don't know. I want to talk about the recovery process. I know a lot of people want to know since I experienced both of them on the same day. If you want to know what I think about having a C-section and having a normal delivery, just let me know in the comments. But I think I'm making a separate video on that. Why it's a very sensitive thing. I don't even want to talk much about it because, or why I would prefer normal delivery to C-section, or why I would prefer C-section to normal delivery. To each his own. If you think you're okay with a C-section, by all means have a C-section. If whatever works for you and your family, but I have my option. So yeah, that was my twin birth story. If you enjoyed my pep talk, if you enjoyed my little story time, make sure you hit the like button. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, and turn on your notifications because next week I'll be coming up with another gist, another life experience of mine. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week, same place, same time. Bye bye.